Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here we are from Group 6 that consists of me, Nor Kholis Majid, Ardhi Abdurrahman, Zahra Ariza Firdausia. Here we would like to deliver our presentations about sex educations for adolescents. Okay, and in these presentations there will be three speakers. The first will be Ardhi Abdurrahman, the second will be Zahra Ariza Firdausia, and the third will be Nor Kholis Majid. Okay, without further ado, for all the speaker, time is yours.
What is sex education? Sex education is an attempt to provide knowledge of biological and physiological, or we say sex education is something that about biological and physiological change resulting from the growing and developing of the human physique. That sex education is growing, is growth and development of the people or humans physique. In other words, sex education essentially is an effort to give us knowledge of the function of our reproductive uh, in 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 our body. There is a reproductive organ, so sex education educate us how to use, how to know the function of our reproductive organ, the implanting moral uh, or ethic, or something talk about religion to prevent us as the people, as the human, from the means of the reproductive organ. If we have knowledge about sex education, uh, we will get feedback or the benefit of our knowledge about of sex education, as providing proper understanding of the sex education and eliminating the slashing of the people, of the public people, of sex education. That sex education is something, it is something we say taboo, but sex education is not like that. Sex education is something good for our knowledge about sex education and understanding of sex education from children. It is something basically. It is something basically. So every child should to have the knowledge about sex education, because it is something basic. So the last benefit is to make healthy generation. Of course, if we have uh, know about sex education, uh, of course, our reproductive organ will be healthy, and if everyone know about sex education, uh, they will be healthy generation. In our country, Indonesia, many parents are confusing and don't know how to teach the right sex education to their children. Uh, the Indonesian people are usually warning about sex danger, but they don't teach or or learning about sex education. However, there are many people and organizations that ask the government to to revise the educational program for young people, especially young people, about sex education. and many people ask government to have or to make the the program that teach us about sex education, or maybe the government shall uh, teach the teacher in every school to teach uh, their student about sex education, or about the right sex education in their school. In other country about sex education, as Netherlands, this country have an application to educate all the people at Netherlands, and it's showing the giving sex education to the student at the school, and they teach their children to appreciate his own body. So the first thing that government of Netherlands, or the people of Netherlands, the first step is to teach their children to appreciate his own body. When the children has appreciated his body, he will to keep his body by what? By sex education. That is the first thing, or the very basic something before the Netherlands government or people of Netherlands teach their children to know or to have knowledge about sex education. It is appreciating his own body. In the United Kingdom, uh, they launch new good guidelines for the sex education at the school. Now, the student at to the United Kingdom get the proper access to get sex education, or they say as SRA program, sex education and relationship education program. SRA made a subject, or the government in United Kingdom uh, meant a subject for elementary school until healthy department at the university in the UK. Swiss is one of the country that legalized the prostitution. Although the Switzerland legalized the prostitution, uh, but but the country has applied sex education since the child learn in kindergarten, reported by the Swiss alternate. Uh, Swiss is success pressing the level of teenage birth, according to United Nations at 2012, that Switzerland is the country that the teenage birth is low than America.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you about problems related to sex education. Some problems related to sex education. The first is the pros and cons in society because of the assumption that talking about sex is taboo, and sex education will encourage teenagers to have sex. Most of people still view stereotype with sex education as a vulgar thing. So far, when we talked about sex, what comes to the mind of most people is have sex. In fact, sex means the sex that biologically differentiates between a man and women. Sexuality involves several things, including the biological dimension, which relates to reproductive organs, how to care for hygiene and health. Next is strategical dimension, relating to gender identity, feeling for sexuality, and how to carry out its function as sexual being. Then the social dimension, relating to how the sexuality arises in human relations, and how the environment influences the formation of view on sexuality and the choice of sexual behavior. The last is cultural dimension, showing that sexual behavior is a part of existing culture in society. The second problem is the occurrence of sex deviance, especially teenagers. Indeed, if we glance at the matter on sex education, there is still very little time and content. Thus, children need a thorough understanding of sex. The implication is that many children find out the wrong way. Sex deviation occurs especially among young people, such as rape, sexual harassment, pregnancy outside of marriage, and so on. Actually, schools, as a formal educational institution, they have a full role in providing sex education to the younger generation. Because basically does not only prepare the youth to be able to adapt themselves, but also humans need to be developed in terms of intelligence, humanity, individual moral responsibility. It means the education is not only make children smart, but also moral. The third problem is the amount of information with no clear source. Unclear information can lead teenagers to misunderstand about what sex is. Many of them have fallen into negative things such as pornographic videos that cause addiction. Therefore, sex education is needed so that they don't fall into the world of pornography.
Okay, right now we come to the fourth topic, that is the importance of sex educations. Okay, so if we talk about sex education, there must be a lot of important things to talk about that, but I will only go for the 3 points. So the first is valid informations, the second is sexually health, and the third is taking decision carefully. Okay, now we come to the first point, that is valid information. Yeah, sex education can provide teenagers valid information about sexuality. Right now, teenagers can easily find or access the internet. Yeah, it is good if they go to the right side, but what if they go to the wrong side? Okay, we take a look at the data right now that I got from the pornography site, that is Pornhub. Based on this data, there are 33.5 million visitors in 2018, and there are 63,000 new visitors per minute, and 61% of them is in the age 18 to 34. So it is the role of sex education to give them understanding about sexuality so they will not go to the wrong side. So the point is, sex education provide teenager information based on data and reliable sources, thus they can better understand about the correct informations about sexuality. Okay, we come to the second point of this topic, that is the sexually health. Yeah, people absolutely want to live healthy. Yeah, and young people as well, and they will also think about their sexual reproductions. Yeah, to keep our sexual reproduction health, we have to also know about some disease that can infect, some deadly disease that can infect our reproductions. Some of them such as HIV and AIDS, chlamydia, syphilis, and so on. If we know about that and we know how to deal and how to prevent it, it will be really nice. It will be really good for us because we can prevent the spread of that virus, can prevent to us or to our society or our family. And Sex education also can help teenagers when they face the puberty, like wet dream and menstruation for girls. And we come and the point of this is young people absolutely want to live healthily so that it is so that sex education will help teenagers to maintain their sexual reproduction health, and it will also help them to deal with problems related to sexual reproductions. And then we come to the third point, that is about taking decision carefully. Okay, yeah, we are teenagers or young people. They are in the age. They are still in unstable emotions. They can easily they are they can easily change their decisions. So that's why this is the role of sex education, to give them understanding about the when they make a decision, they have to think about the consequence. So we will take the example of that about married in the early age. Yeah, is that wrong? Married in the early age? No, that is not wrong. But we have to also know about the consequence if we married in the early age, such as, do the teenagers or the young people ready for that? Do they ready for having a baby and any other thing about that? And the second is about virginity. Yeah, people, absolutely, most people think that virginity is really important, but some of them do not think about that, do not think like that. So that we have to think carefully when we want to make decision. We have to also know the consequence of what we do. Okay, the point of this topic is adolescent is the time when we want to know about everything, so it is important to tell them about sex education because it will help them in making decision about what to act. Okay, we come to the fifth topic, that is about how to implement sex educations in Indonesia. Okay, here there are three ways about how to implement sex education in Indonesia. First, through the parents. Second, through the school. And third, through the community. Okay, first, through the parents. Yeah, parents is a good start point to tell the students or children about sex educations, because absolutely children's growing is developed or influenced children's growing is influenced by their families, by their family or their parent. So that's why here parents can tell the children or students about sex education a little by little, time by time. It can be from the attitude, healthy lifestyle, puberty, marriage, and so on, so that the children or the young people can know it before they experience it, and they can take a good decision for that. Okay, and the second is through the school. Okay, through the school, absolutely, government need to make sex education as the one of the curriculum in the school, so that's why students or children can learn about sex education formally in the school. Okay. And to create a great communication between parents and student or children's, school can give them a homework assignment about some selected topics, so that's why parents and children can create great communication about sexuality at home. Okay, and the third is through the community. Yeah, community right here has a crucial role because they need to talk to the society. They need to introduce about what is sex education, why it is so important, why we need to implement sex education, why we need to know about sex education in Indonesia. Yeah, because it will really important for people, especially young people, when they are during they are growing up. Yeah, sex education is not a taboo thing anymore because this is the thing that need to be known by a lot of people. This is to keep our health, our attitude, and anything. Okay, thank you. That's all.
So, from this discussion, we can conclude HIV and AIDS are a few deadly viruses that always cause death around the world. To overcome this problem, we have to know about sexuality health. The way to know it is from sex education. In Indonesia, sex education is still taboo, so only some people know it well. Thus, it is necessary to know about sex education, especially teenagers, because they are in puberty. It will decrease the number of pregnancy outside of marriage, HIV and AIDS, and other sexuality problems.
Okay, thank you very much. We are from group 6, and the last we say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.